Ladies and gents, welcome to Dungeon Discourse. Welcome to Dungeon Discourse, where we talk about D&D and all that good shit. I'm just gonna unmute because I'm rude. Hey guys, what's up?
Hi.
No
So
warnings.
rude.
I tried to give warning, but I don't know.
We happen to not be talking anyway. So...
Okay, well, you guys are very social to each other. Great to hear. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Dungeon Discourse, where we are nerds and talk about the D&D episode that we played 2 days ago, and just talk about how it all went down, what happened to the writing, what the players thought, what the characters thought, and hey, how could things have gone? Were different paths chosen than the ones that were chosen? Is that English? Maybe.
Close enough.
Welcome in, guys. Clown, Koiba, Aura, Diogen, Targoda. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. Yo, early gang, by the way. D&D and all that jazz. Yeah, pretty much. We're just, I mean, listen, I'm low-key. Nah, it's not low-key. Fuck it. Sassy Simmers coming in with a fucking thick raid. Okay. Hey, guys. Sassy attack. All right, I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm gonna let it happen.
There's nothing else you can do. Just gotta let it happen.
I'm gonna let it happen.
I feel like we're being watched.
Just gonna let it happen. Come on in, boys.
Although, this does remind me seeing the stream where your alert is placed specifically for Dungeon Discourse. Like other streams not a problem, but means you get to miss some hilarious reactions. It covers up parts of your face. Like the I love watching the episode where was it OSG who like just did like a hefty donation and you just like get up and just go like clank face plant on your head.
Yeah,
Like,
my bet is gone, guys. There's no more bets. So I can't do that anymore because one guy fucked it up for all of you. I can't focus on the story because this guy's bet is not made. Piss off, mate. Holy shit. Welcome on in, Raiders. Yo, we got Vode, Retro, Dooge, FOV, I don't know, I'm just trying my best here. Sassy, how y'all doing? Welcome on in. My name is That Dutch Geek, variety caster here on Twitch, currently doing a little nerdy talk show where us nerds talk about nerdy stuff. That is D&D. So, you know, and I'm also going to be playing Anthem later on with Sir Duke, so if you want to hang out for some bad memes, you know, stick around. FOV and FOV are both correct. Well, there you go. Look at that. Welcome on in, guys. Thanks for the follow as well, FOV. Appreciate that, man. Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Unmade bed, how dare you. Bruh, it was wild. I got so triggered by that. It's unreal. I got really annoyed. Still do. To this day, I'm like, that one motherfucker.
I think about it now that my camera angles changed every time, and I'm like, must make bed, because it's like right there. But...
Alright, welcome on in, guys. Jerome, what's up, dude? Jeez, D&D, I've heard something about that recently. Oh, really? You don't say. Wah, messy room, wah. Pretty much, yeah. Sassy, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate that. How was your stream?
You the man. Thanks for the sub.
Lutato coming in with the 11-month resub.
Oh, almost at that year-long ban.
Almost at a year. Holy crap. I would normally spin a sub wheel, but I owe you because I do not have the wheel ready, and I apologize. So I owe you next stream. Lou, remind me. Exclamation mark, remind me to give you a spin on the wheel. Please. Could you do it? Because I'm going to forget 100%. So yeah, a little bit of a recap as to what happened last episode on Dungeon Select. After our little 1 week break, party made it to Drek'Mir. I know my own world, guys. I did it. I think I did that right.
Not only did you make two cities that are hella similar, and
they're also next to each other.
Drek'Mir, you put them next to each other,
which is why they're called similar, because they're next to each other. That was my line. Like that was my train of thought. It's like, oh, they're.
Fuck with people, that's it.
Did you also think?
Diogen,
no,
yes, you can.
Which one's which?
Exclamation mark DS. We'll get you the YouTube link and LauraK's Twitch link, because that's where we stream it. YouTube. Every episode goes up the Wednesday after it's been aired. So tomorrow evening, last Sunday's episode will be up on YouTube. Hit that up.
We
with
also
a sub.
put these on YouTube as well. So
and these
if there's
also
an
go
episode
there. Definitely.
in particular that you say there was a choice you were really invested in, or you're like, I really want to know what would happen if that had been different, you can go watch the Dungeon Discourse episode related to that section of the campaign.
Essentially what this is basically I, as the writer slash GM, a lot of shit that I write doesn't happen, or a lot of shit that happens in sessions are improvised. Basically what this is just a reason or a way for us to kind of nerd out about that part of things Like, oh, well, we did this. How else could it have gone? What did I have prepared? What did I do that episode? It was improv. A little more in-depth background check of our characters. We've had everyone on so far besides Laura. This is her first time, so we're gonna go in-depth on what happened in the process of writing Kiseran and why is she the character that she is.
I also gave Dutch a major migraine in that I literally wrote a novel of a character and gave it to him, and he was like, "You fucking did what?"
Yeah, that was so we're gonna go in depth for that.
He thought I wrote him a novel because I sent him like a 2K word story, and then Belle and I both wrote real novel on our characters for national novel
But
writing.
to be fair, because Belle, her backstory was so specific, it helped me a lot with the whole Iron Deck story arc. So the same thing will go for you because you gave me so much. There's a lot for me to draw from when you're a personal arc.
I'm so excited that what I thought was just a moment of, well, this looks like cool waterbending, but was useless, was actually like play of the game to Iron Deck.
Yeah, it was.
Like I couldn't deal damage, but
it was. We went into that like at the Dungeon Discourse after that. I was like, yeah, if Laura wouldn't or if Kiseran would not have done that, he would have. The moment he would have been formed into his like human form, Zodin the Cambion would appear and plain shift him out as part of their contract because you blocked him from materializing again. That's what got you guys to kill.
I realized that was like multiple episodes ago, but I was just very excited. About it. I couldn't be on.
It's the first time you're on, so I get it. First things first. Little recap for last episode. Party made it to Drek'Mir. Met up with LauraK483, who chose the form of a pretty broad-looking blue tiefling.
That was funny.
Fooled the group a little bit. I thought it was a little bit of a good meme. But yeah, the party learned that as I like to refer to them, the NPC team that is doing the tracking down and the translating and all that shit, that is like looking into this Council of Raskil. Figured out the identity and approximate location of second member of the Council of Raskil. He goes by the name of Pira, red tiefling, and he is the one that wears the red dragonborn mask. And the party did some reconning of the mines where he supposedly operates from, and eventually made their way inside. Fought a zombie beholder. That was fun. Fought a zombified beholder. Made their way through a gang of riddles and a long ass elevator that reveals a big dark stone fortress surrounded by just a bunch of lava. But at this point, you're in the Underdark. It's gonna be fun. And that's where we ended it. They made it to Raskil's blessing, I called it. That's where we ended. So yeah, that's what happened. There's a couple of things that were definitely improv'd. There's also a few things that could have gone very differently. So there's lots to talk about. First of all, I wanted to start off with Laura, because this is the first time we have you on the Dungeon Discourse. I wanted to start off with you and see what is your background? How experienced are you?
Okay.
All that sort of stuff.
Well, it's like if you look at time on a calendar that I've spent playing D&D, I'd played for maybe a year and a half or something before, but it was my first ever campaign, and we only met once a month, my group, so it was only then, in that case, 12 sessions, like over a year, basically. And our DM was great, but he also... I chose a sorcerer for my first ever character, which might have been a bit... I'm thinking now if I'd gone, like, ironically, the fighter, now that I'm more experienced playing a hero or a class that would have suited me better. Because I was just always very confused with the mechanics. I never quite got a handle on, spell slots and rolls. And they'd be like, saving throw. I'm like, what's saving throw versus an ability check? I don't get it. What's the difference? And, like, I just never really felt like... I felt like I was just so much doing what I was told rather than actively playing D&D. So once we started our off-stream campaign that Dutch and I are in, he also is the DM previous to Dungeon Select, and also like my boyfriend plays D&D, and so he really went through the character creation with me, and we took a long time to go through that to really start getting the handle on abilities and stuff. So I've been playing for a few years technically, but I'd say being a player who knows what I'm doing, probably about a year now.
Yeah. So you were relatively inexperienced, but I think you've gotten better since the first time we played together, and you're getting better still. So that's dope.
My biggest, I think, weakness as a player is my penchant to metagame and forget the separation of, like, Laura knows this, your character doesn't, just because it's hard. And, like, as I progress, like, my ultimate goal is to be able to play characters that are so different from me, but I know right now, even though I used to want to be an actress, clearly that's changed a long time ago, but I don't trust my role-playing ability to be something too different from me, because of just how much my kind of Laura impulses want to get involved. So I always make characters that are very similar to me in most ways, but then I take one or two drastic changes. So for, like, our off-stream character, her thing, I kind of made her a mix of, if anyone watches these shows, Neil Caffrey from White Collar, and then Doctor Strange from, like, Marvel, in that she's a very smooth, suave, like, talker, confident, but her fatal flaw is she wants everyone to know she's the smartest person in the room, even when it's not true, as what I wrote. So it gets herself into trouble, whereas I very much am, in real life, like, no, I will gladly let, like, if there's someone I can learn from or take advice from, and someone in the room is clearly more experienced or, like, smarter than me, go for it, where she's like, no, it's always me. And Kiseran's major difference from me is her whole driving force is to find her daughter, and she's very maternal because she has those maternal instincts from having a kid that got taken away from her. She never got to actually be a mom, so she tries to kind of mom everyone. And I hate kids, IRL. I am not a kid person. I don't want kids. Someone gives me a baby, I kind of hold it out like this. I'm like, oh god, someone take this thing from me. So, but everything else, in, like, the way she solves problems, the way she communicates, and the decisions she makes that aren't affected by the mom thing, is very much me. So that's the major difference.
Yeah, that's what I also strongly believe, is that everyone that makes a character in D&D, whether it's your first one or your 10th one, doesn't matter. If you don't have a little bit of yourself in the character, you're gonna have a way less good of a time playing them, I feel like. That's what I think, and what I like when I make my characters, for instance, in the campaign with my first ever D&D campaign that's still going on. My first ever character was a dwarf paladin, and he was all about the righteous, goody two shoes, awful good, and I got so sick of playing that guy. What is this guy that I created? And I talked to Optidude, my DM, about that. Listen, I love your campaign and I love the group, but I fucking hate my character. So I re-rolled, like, we said goodbye to him, and I re-rolled into a bard who was, like, very, very cocky, very like, oh, I'm the man, let me do this, let me do the talking, and just a fucking dickhead, and I love playing him. It's great, because I'm a fucking dickhead, so I can connect with this guy because we're both dickheads. It's great, and it's a great time. Love it. My character that I play in Gypsy's campaign, Sellouts and Spell Slots, is also isn't necessarily a dickhead. He's more like a how do I say this? It's pretty early on in the campaign still, but so far the way I've been playing him is that he isn't really down to trust people, but he's had some encounters with one of the characters in the group where it's like almost irritated by that he cannot trust someone, and that's something that draws pretty close to me IRL. I feel like trust is really important. If you can't trust each other, you cannot, like, connect. You cannot go and you cannot get close, whether that's as friends or as a group or whatever. So there's this fucking, it's Koiba's character, by the way, smile. So whenever he fucking, like, we were in this, okay, scenario, context is important. We're in this castle, right? This dickhead sends us in because he wants us to collect this crystal, and there's this fucking demon dude that's like, hey, smile, I got this crystal for you. Snap, breaks it, oh boy. And then,
ouch.
Koiba's character finds a pouch with small crystals that are the same color as the big crystal that was shattered. And he's just like, I'm gonna try and stealthily pocket it. Like, And I saw that. Like, I rolled a perception check versus his sleight of hand, and I saw, or Soko's character saw it, and he just out loud was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So I knew of it as well.
Because his character has a stupid high passive perception. Like, you just can't pull shit.
And I was just like, "Motherfucker, you know damn well that this could be of importance to us. Why the fuck would you hide the shit?" And he was like, "Eh," and I was fucking mad, dude. I got IRL upset with what happened in games. Wild.
Well, that was like when in the episode before last, when Koiba's character like had his like beef with, or like the beef with Kiseran came to a head. That was only half, because then Koiba's messaging me about it. I'm like, that was only half in game. That was also just me. I was just genuinely mad. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And like,
but that makes D&D so great, IMO, because I really feel when I like, whether I'm DMing or playing a character, I really like when Ash died, I felt upset IRL because the D&D character in my campaign died. I was like, well, fuck. So like I get emotionally pretty involved in D&D, which is what makes it so much fun for me to do. I think also for people to watch us do it is because I feel like we're all pretty heavily invested. It's happening.
Yeah, just getting back at my DMs from Koiba, because also it reminds me, Koiba, I haven't given you the list yet. Kiseran gave Koiba a list of names of all the innocent people she killed. I have to write that list. I still haven't done that. And he asked me to do that, but then he was like, by the way, like, I didn't expect that reaction. And I was like, it just kind of came out, not gonna lie. I didn't even think as I was talking. It just happened. Which again, that goes back to make characters that are still somewhat relatable to you, because that couldn't have happened if the character was completely alien to me and I was playing something that was the polar opposite of all my normal personality traits. Then like that moment couldn't have been as organic. It would have been, I would have to stop and think about it, and like, which is fine, but like I feel like it's less fun for everyone in a campaign.
Yeah,
definitely. Vode, I'm sorry, girl. I fucking missed that follow alert. It got swallowed by FOV's follow. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you if you're still here. Sorry, I'm great at what I do.
Vode's video is great. He's lovely.
Yeah, so that kind of brings me to segues into the next thing, is that when you started writing Kiseran, like what like not super in depth, but like walk us through, and because I know you can get really like walk us through like the writing process of, okay, when I make this character, she's gonna be this race because she's gonna be this kind of person because, just walk us through that entire like process.
Hold on, I have a notebook.
Oh boy, here we go.
So do I.
I swear it's not gonna go into depth. It literally came from one sentence. I said while streaming, just errantly, I would love to make a character who's like a badass with a sword. I'm thinking like samurais, like think like Zoro from One Piece, like epic level swordswoman, but who refuses to use her sword.
E. Robertson, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you, bro. Or sis. I don't mean to assume genders here. Hey.
Yeah. But yeah, just basically, I wanted a character that was just a walking like juxtaposition. So like, okay, so you're a badass with a sword, but you have a fancy sword that you're never gonna use. And I was like, I need help coming up with guys, any ideas? And someone in my chat came up with basically a really rough outline for some part of Kiseran, and then I just started snowballing from there. And so they came up with the whole idea of someone who killed people and later found out they were innocent, and so now the guilt is part of why she doesn't use the sword, and that transformed. It's half guilt, half Kiseran's afraid of her own bloodlust, because when she was the Tempest for years, and then the longer she did it, the less she cared, the more she just enjoyed using the sword and pretending it was okay because it was a connection to her father, because the sword was given to her by her father as he died when he was attacked by bandits, and she literally was there.
That would be so fucking sick. Like, I'm not here to like meta or influence you in any way, but
if it happened in game,
with that background, that like fear of your own bloodlust or anger, like
that's why I got so mad.
Kiseran like multi-classing into a barbarian would be so fucking.
Who knows? Then we have triple barbarians. But like
triple barbarian.
That's why Koiba made me so mad. He's like, I wanted to test. Because he said something like, I want to test if you had that rage or whatever inside you, or that killer instinct. And I'm like, I'm literally fighting it. I'm afraid. I'm trying to not become that again, because I lost myself in that for a while. Like Kiseran lost herself for years and killed 30 innocent people, along with people who were also bad people. But she never stopped to ask. She stopped caring at one point. And originally, like I said, it was the sword was her connection to her father. She never really got along with her mom, so her father was her main connection. and in childhood and everything. So his death really fucked her up. And then she went into major, was put in prison when she was finally caught for all her years as a Tempest, and told of all the innocent people she killed. And early in the campaign, like now I've gotten to use my sword a bit because it's a rule she only uses on things that are pure evil. Like the Beholder, that's fine. That's not, no one has qualms about using a sword on that. But like a person, or like when we had to fight, say like bandits or like the guards that were in our way, you know, in the early campaign, that's why I was always using the warhammer, or I was using my bow and arrow, even though I'm not as good with it, because she's afraid if she spends too long using the sword again, like fall into old habits. And every time she did use the sword, she said out loud the names, very Arya Game of Thrones like, so try and keep herself grounded from becoming that bloodthirsty killer again. And then the kid thing, because then I was like, okay, how do I make this character different from myself? And we're trying to think up a reason for her to escape prison. And it was, she fell in love with her cellmate, had a kid. The kid was though like taken, like literally a kid came out of her vagina and was taken away. Never saw it. She just briefly saw what the kid looked like, hence why she knows her name, if the guards let her keep the name. And she saw that she had the skin of the water Ganassi, and the hair of her lover, who was a fire Ganassi. So that's why the only thing she has to go on. So she might not even have the name that I've been searching for, but I know what she looks like because she was very distinctive.
The thing that I really enjoy about your backstory is that have your so many things to like do. We have your baby daddy that I could just introduce randomly, like, hey
Throw
guys.
in there, right?
We have your daughter, which is a pretty important, like a big thing of your background. Is like I gotta find her. Like your motive. That's what drives you pretty much. We have the fact that you're still a wanted fugitive.
Yeah. I gave you a lot to play
You know, men like Petar Berg still like up your ass trying to like any law enforcement really in the Expanse at least. And fucking knows, you know.
It came
and then we
together
also
like
have, because your Kiseran's mom is still like, she's still kicking, right? Like she's still big chilling. Yeah, exactly. But that's like so many things that we could like. Woo. So yeah, I have some things in the works for Kiseran, and
there are many. This was all on one bus ride. After the person mentioned it in my stream, I started coming up with character notes, and I wrote like a whole like journal, like 6 to 7 journal pages worth of her backstory.
Because like regarding the baby daddy, like we've already had like hints in campaign, like out there, so doing thing, and I have some really like, that's probably the most like complete thing I have like baking in the oven at the.
I'm like part of the after I wrote it, I'm like, I love this backstory and I love this character. It's the most attached to a D&D character I've been because I invested so much time into the backstory. Yeah. But I'm also terrified because those are high stakes, high emotional situations I have given you. They show up. Like if he shows up, also either it's you playing as him, or if you get a guest person to play it, hopefully the person's okay with, you know, I'm in love with them, so I have to play that.
That's
so
definitely a thing. Like if I get a guest to play that character, that's gonna be tough. That's a big character to play, which is also why, because I considered having someone play Lord Irondeck. Have a guest come on and be the bad guy in Irondeck, because I thought that'd be lit, like them fighting you and like that'd be sick. But at the end of the thing, I was like, nah, that's not, because I want to make sure that this is done right, and if I do it myself, I have more control than when I let someone else do. Like if someone else were to play them, I would have given them like some pointers. But at the end of the day, it's D&D. You know, like it's D&D. They can do whatever the fuck at that point.
I mean, I still have like 2 other major characters in my backstory that have nothing about them, just their names and what they look like.
So they can,
that's it.
I'm also super terrified though, because like, so her whole driving force is finding the kid, and in any way, shape, or form, partially just because obviously Laura's not a kid, since that's gonna be the biggest acting role-playing moment. But it's like I don't know what I'm actually more excited or nervous for, whether we find her and she's alive and you get someone to play her, or she's dead. Because or like something is happening.
What I like is that
then it's like emotional for an episode, but then or a few episodes, but then I can find a way to move on. Whereas if she's alive, it's a lot longer.
The fun thing about your whole thing is that you've been so vocal about your search for your daughter, and in every way, shape, or form you've tried to have someone with bigger powers find them. They were inconclusive. It's like, oh, I can't fucking contact her. Yeah. Which in D&D means a couple of things. Could mean a couple of things. They're dead. They're using magic to be shielded from magic, or they're in a different plane. Yeah. That's pretty much the three things. So, 66.6% says that she's alive. Those are favorable odds, right?
Pretty good odds.
But even then, those are the things. She's alive, but then she's going to be near impossible to find anyway. And I think in Kiseran's mind, she's as morbid as it is. She's leaning towards the dead side now. She's losing hope because, again, she was the daughter of 2 criminals. She probably was just thrown in an orphanage somewhere or something. She can't conceive of a life that would have led her to cross paths with either a magic user powerful enough to protect her, and plus, why should she be protected? She's not important.
Plus, what also is a thing is that because she got yoinked from you at birth, there's no fucking clue what her parents are.
But my thing why I want to find her, other than just all of a sudden I feel like a mom, I didn't get to be a mom, is I'm afraid of she's been told who her parents are, and she just thinks her mom is like the Tempest. Her mom is not Kiseran, and I want her to know that at least there is more to me, and your mom is not just like a bloodthirsty killer, and then by extension she's not. I'm just worried how I can't imagine growing up and finding out, imagine just being a real world example. It's hey, you grow up thinking you were adopted, surprise, guess what, your dad was Ted Bundy or something. That's gotta be a freaking
wild, bro.
Yeah, so I just can't imagine the toll it would take on her if she's told who her mom is, and then thinks that in some way she's contaminated, or she is lesser for that. So
I find the contrast between Aktanis's and Kiseran's backstory is really interesting, because there's the point of view of Kiseran as a mother looking for her child, and then Aktanis is a child looking for her parents. It's a weird reversal situation from different perspectives.
Yeah, well, that's why the first 2 episodes I couldn't Kiseran couldn't stand Aktanis just because she's you're reckless and we have to work together. You're gonna get me screwed. I need to find this kid. But then as you started letting slip those comments and we learned more about you, basically you've become the proxy for Kiseran's daughter now. She sees you like her adopted daughter until she's not you're gonna be
enjoyable thing for me to see is that at the beginning you guys were clashing a lot, and now you guys are slowly but steadily getting closer and closer to each other.
Now when Aktanis does things oh, let's blow things up, it's not before be you fucking moron, I want to punch you. Now it's oh my gosh, oh,
you child,
you get to educate. Yeah, the way a parent just does an exasperated kid with a high energy. So I have a lot more patience for Aktanis now because I have that attachment, and it's become, I'm not even sure Kiseran's 100% aware of it, but it's there.
It's like that, subconsciously she's mothering Aktanis a little.
Yeah. And for sure Aktanis has those childish streaks because as a kid she wasn't really able to have a childhood from the age of 7
That's
up.
Funny indeed, because you never got to be the mom that you could have been because your kid got yoinked. You never got to be a kid, so in a way
and it's even funnier because Belle and I didn't consult when we wrote these backstories. We had no way that this would work out, but
so yeah, that's cool. Funny how that works out sometimes. It's pretty that's good. It's good because it makes for some enjoyable moments on stream as well. It's when you guys are just doing your thing, and Aktanis is being the idiot that she sometimes can be. It's just Laura IRL rolling her eyes is just so fucking satisfying for me. Then it's oh, here you go. So yeah, what did you guys think about this episode?
I was so excited because we actually kind of made a plan that wasn't a brute force approach, because especially with a mix of players in experience levels, because Belle and I on the newer side, and then players like Gypsy who've done this a lot. Newer players very much can fall into the trap of D&D's see enemy, fight, next thing,
murder hobo.
Murder hobos without thinking of what are the other ways through situations, by using cunning, by using charisma, by da-da-da. So I was really excited that we did the whole, oh look, we found a way into the mine without just being we'll fight some guards. And then the riddles was really cool because we haven't done a lot of puzzle stuff like that. And
I had nothing to contribute to the riddles.
Yeah, we'll talk about the riddles in a second because I definitely have some things to say. The fun thing is, I was so not prepared for you guys doing that extensive of a recon, of the area. And
really?
Then, you guys dressing up as half-orcs, going in, chatting up to the boss and all that shit. That entire conversation with orc boss man was entirely improv. That was like
including the letter from Empress Thelmar. Things you never expected we'd get in there. So
I never expected you to get in there. That letter I put there partially as a fun little reference and nod to the that was also improv, but that partially as a little nod.
Now that we have it.
But now that it's there and it's out there, who knows? You know.
See, that's crazy to me.
No, the thing that was written was that, you know, the reason there's so many guards is because sometimes weird shit comes out of the caves and they /kill and they continue the mining. And what they kind of blamed it on is that, yeah, I mean, we died, like, these mines run pretty deep. Whatever the fuck lives down there, yeah, we fuck with their habitat, so sure. And, you know, half-orcs tend to be a little dumb. So when they see a zombified ogre, they don't think like, oh, necromancy. They think, oh, there's probably lives down there. Let's fucking kill it, you know? That tends to be the way they think, because on average, they're not that smart.
Yeah.
So they, the guy, like Bossman Orc Sir, what I figured was, okay, you know what? Since in the other campaign, you guys, that takes place in the same world.
Yeah.
Which is why there's sometimes references back and forth.
Yeah, for anyone that was confused, that's why Soko and I, and then even if it was me and Soko who had then gone in, because when that letter is a reference, we think it's a reference to our characters.
Yeah, because they last session they got like contracted by the Empress herself in an order that was once called the Golden Blades, which was like the Empress, her personal mercenaries, pretty much. And that order has been gone for a couple of decades, and like it got revived. They are now that order.
So when it's like the Empress is gonna send some of her own mercenaries. So
yeah, exactly. That was like a little. It's like a little.
Each other. We were all very excited.
Yeah, exactly.
It might not be though. Like again,
it was definitely all improv though, and now that it's there, I can maybe sometime.
It's a shame though, because we could never like. Then I immediately was like, I have just this burning desire to just magically split myself in two, and I just want to play both characters at the same time, and I want to do
it. What's up, Cope? I can see it. Retro, welcome in. Elscorn, welcome in, guys. Welcome on in. Yeah, the thing, I'm pretty good. I pat myself on the back. I'm pretty good with thinking of shit on the fly, which is very good if you're a DM. Because when your party goes off the few paths that you have, gonna have to fucking improvise. Favorite moment of improvisation, still to this day, is when Nicole fucking robbed that gnome off his books.
Gnome, that was great. It's things like that where I always, the more I play D&D, the more I kind of want to DM, just because I'm a major control freak, and one of my favorite things is being in the I know something you don't know position, so getting to just like know the world, know what's going on, and getting to watch what they do, but I could never. I don't have the time.
If you're a control freak, DMing is not what you want to do.
That's the other thing too. It's not going to go the way I want. But I also don't have time to world build. I couldn't. Like in that moment.
I mean, you could try.
I'm just gonna roleplay and make up this office and be this character. I'm gonna make up an environment as I go and show them what I'm.
You could try DMing like pre-written one shots, like or like short campaigns, like the official D&D. Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, and like if I ever had time, that's what I would do if I wanted to see. Just like tick that off the list and scratch that itch. But I could never DM a homebrew campaign.
I'm sure if you
always in awe of all
no,
DMs.
like what I say every fucking week we do this is like I spend 10-ish hours a week on this on Dungeons. It's mad. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a thing I love doing because Dungeon Select definitely is my passion project, and I love writing it. I love creating the world. I love challenging you guys as players, but also seeing just when we play and shit happens and you guys like give a reaction that proves to me that you're really invested. That makes my fucking day. And when I see then, because we also stream it, the chat's also enjoying, and the same people come back every week to watch, and it's fucking, that's the greatest feeling, because I'm not putting that time in just for my own pleasure, it's also being appreciated by others, and that really that's really what I guess, how do I say that? It's definitely a personal, like, I get a lot of satisfaction from it, I'd say. And yeah, so to see that the support for Dungeon Select is fucking lit makes me happy.
It really is.
Oh, I did have one question actually though, on the whole improv planning. If we had decided, like Aktanis wanted, yeah, blowing things up is a great idea. She kept saying dynamite. Dynamite is that's a thing real world. Like it would have to be under. It would just have been like explosives.
Yeah, I didn't think that until you said
Explosives.
I'd never heard of that. So,
Explosives
and then I'm like,
in our world at least, black powder is extremely rare. Most black powder control is done by the Order of the Obscure, because the Order of the Obscure are the only people that would train gunslingers like LauraK and Elevantir. In this world, gunslinging and the arts of making bombs and shit is really something that only the gunslinger class does, and they're really the only people that use black powder and know how to craft explosives. Most explosions that are more commonly known are those with magic origins. So like an arcane blast or whatever. Like sure, you could do that, but actual like dynamite TNT doesn't exist. Yeah, like LauraK invented the grenade in our campaign. He was like, oh, I'm gonna craft a thing that blows up when I throw it, and he did, because its tinkering checks were good. You know, like the only thing explosive that is not black powder would be something from like whether it's a fucking volatile flask of whatever liquid but yeah, like dynamite and TNT doesn't exist in our world. So
So I thought, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, don't exist yet. Like, who knows when LauraK is like, I want to create something that goes boom and breaks down like big fucking buildings, and that's the day when we're like, okay, let's talk about that. Because when Soko DM'd me like, hey, because when Soko started crafting the grenades, he DM'd me like a week before, like, listen, I want to make something that look like grenades, and we use, for reference for his gunslinger, we use the Arcane Artillery Handbook, which has a lot of like things with how to do tinkering, siege weapons, explosives, different types of guns, attachments for guns that can all be tinkered, and like what requirements and how long it would take. So that's definitely something we draw from. And then when he was like, I want to craft grenades, grenades themselves weren't per se in that book. But then I was like, okay, we'll follow the tinkering rules from that book, and then we'll just see for like damage wise, we'll just check the homebrew section on D&D Beyond, which we did, and there was a fragmentation grenade there, and that was like, oh, damage wise that seems pretty balanced, yeah, let's just use that for your homemade grenades. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So now he's making explosives, and whenever I've made a deal with him, it's like, okay, whenever you want to think of something new or craft something new, let me know beforehand so we can determine the like specifics of it. Yeah. Because it's really that's like, that is so fucking homebrew, it's insane. It's wild, because like even the book is like, the Arcane Artillery is not an official book. It's homemade by someone who's like, I like the gunslinger that Matt Mercer made, but instead of it being an archetype for a fighter, I want to make it an entire class, and they did, and it's fucking lit. But yeah, so like, and when the time comes when one of you guys or whoever has ideas for like something they want to do with their character, we'll do that the same way, you know, we'll talk about it like just one-on-one, and then we'll see.
Well, like, because there is something that maybe only at like double-digit levels minimum plus. I would love to see if there's a to see if Kiseran could do it again, because in her backstory, because I have to figure out how she escaped prison, and of course, being a water genasi, she has like water magic. And someone, when I was making the character, misinformed me that water genasi had the ability to turn into water, like their bodies. So I wrote her and her whole story before I actually then looked up the race and was like, oh, that's not true. That is not a thing they can do. So the way I did it was she's only done it, like, she could count on one hand the times in her life she's done it, and only at moments of incredibly intense stress or need. So the first time she did it, it was to save her own life, because she thought someone was about to, a rapist actually was about to stab her. And she just closed her eyes and thought, like, this is it, I'm dead. and then like just heard him slip and fall, opened her eyes, and she basically turned into a puddle, turned into water. He slipped on it, and then she formed back up and was on the other side of him. It's like, what the fuck? So she then spent years practicing, and Shawshank Redemption style, with like Spook just carving a tunnel behind her bed in her prison cell, and she finally got the tiniest crack through the wall. She could see light, and then just turned into water and flowed out through the crack. But it took her years in prison, A, to dig the crack, but also to able to do that on command. And she hasn't been able to do it since, because she's never been in that dire moment of need ever again.
Yeah,
so
we can make it like
an
an instinctual thing. It's like, oh, when you're really like, oh god, I'm about to die. Maybe, yeah, that's something we can talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because I know, like, I only wrote it that way because before I realized that was not actually an ability they possessed, and now it's in the story, and I can't think of any other way for her to escape prison that was fitting. Originally, I had my boyfriend helped edit it a lot, and I wrote that she just eventually seduced a guard, and like, and he's like, but would he do that though? Is she? And then I'm like, no, her charisma is kind of shit for a reason. She's not, and she had sex one time and got pregnant from it, and has only ever like loved one guy. She's very much not she does not know how to use her feminine wiles in any way, shape, or form. It just happened. So he was right. I was like, yeah, it's not really in character. I don't like that, so I stuck with the water thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's the beauty of D&D, is that even if the books say, hey, these aren't the rules, they're the guidelines, and if DMs want to fucking think of a big flying dildo that does a lot of bludgeoning damage when they slam you, they can, because that's their fucking world they create. You're creating a world. So yeah, we can definitely
Hey.
I wouldn't know because I don't watch campaign 2, but okay. No, but like that's it's nothing is impossible. The way I do it is just as long as it's like within reason, and it's not insanely like fucking overpowered, something that could literally, like for instance, if we were something like that where you would have that ability, it would only be able to happen in like those moments of just like,
yeah,
instinct, I'm about to die, fuck.
Yeah, so maybe make a rule like you have to be like single digits HP, and only as a reaction if you're about to take a blow that would be like fatal or something.
Yeah, and you would only be able to do it like once per week type of thing, because it's like it's literally a get out of jail.
Yeah. So yeah, like even if it never happens, it's obviously totally fine. But you just mentioned like the LauraK doing that. I was like, that's the only thing I could think of. Mm-hmm. And I would want her to be at least, like I said again, like level 10 minimum or higher, because I feel like it's also like I said, pretty OP abilities that should come when we might need more use of it, because we're facing higher level foes and we're all just more experienced anyway.
Yeah, the thing that I had to definitely experiment with is because most of you guys, like all of your guys are now level 5, but most of you guys now have a second attack. Like I need to relearn how to balance combat. So with that beholder fight was a good way to do that, because it was one enemy against all of you. Lasted like 1.5 round. Which to me is like
of the damage output.
And that was even when like Aktanis wasn't able to do anything besides throw javelins, so she wasn't even at her full potential.
And same, I just was shooting arrows and missing. So
that whole
I'm definitely going to have to beef up the fights a little bit, HP wise at least. Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's
useless in that fight. Oh my god.
Welcome to my life.
I'm gonna
Oh my god, that's the one thing that makes me like. I really enjoy playing weapon and like melee based classes, as it was my first ever D&D experience was Sorcerer, and I was just very overwhelmed, and I'm pretty sure I did not do most of my things properly. But now occasionally I get sort of like a very magical creature, like when fighting the vampires or fighting this thing flying in the air. I'm like, what am I gonna do on the ground with my fucking sword?
That's the beauty of multi-classing. When you're leveling up, you're like, oh, okay, I'm a level 8 fighter. I can kick ass. Sick. But when cunts are flying at me, I can't do shit. Let me just multi-class a little bit, like when it would make sense story-wise, character-wise. And then you can multi-class into a class that has some more range capabilities, for instance, right? That's the thing. You can like your characters also evolve as you. But so if you're in this predicament where I feel useless in fights with things that fly, down the line you could, when it's, I would say, like the reason I let Hanzo multiclass into Warlock was because it made sense. Homie just went through a very dramatic thing, watching one of his allies get brutally murdered in front of him. That does something to you, and it would make sense that he goes for aid, goes in search for aid from some less happy sources. So
my thing with that though, and I've never gotten, this is the highest level I've ever gotten to. Like I said, my other campaign, the month, I don't think I ever got beyond level 3. So it's all exciting to me, and I very much see all the really high levels, like level 20 abilities, and I'm like, I want those things because they get so nutty. So
characters rarely go level 20 though. Like campaigns rarely last enough.
Now it's like I see that as challenge accepted. So like I'm like, if you multi-class, it's gonna take that much longer to get to like the crazy levels of anything, right? So I see the point though. It might be.
Yeah, like it's if you really feel, I'm just saying, like if you really feel like, wow, I feel useless to the point where you as a player are not having fun doing fights with like ranged stuff, multi-classing is a thing that you can always do. You know, even if it's just a one level in like sorcerer, so you have some like level 1 spell slots and some cantrips that you can just fling at shit, like you can firebolt the fuck out of it.
Sure thing.
Like that doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's still something.
If it happened, I'd probably multi-class eventually into a ranger, just because she does have a long.
Oh, there you go.
And but she the justification was she would learn to use it when she was, and the still other point is I use everything but my sword if I'm not 100% sure the enemy is not pure evil or like deserves death. So there's reason for her to know how to use those things.
And same goes for Aktanis as well, because I can throw javelins.
That's it. And
the thing is, barbarians. I don't know what your like skills are stat wise, but barbarians are definitely that tanky melee class. So if you're at some point like, oh fuck, I can't do shit here, it happens more times because you're gonna be facing flying things like, hello, Dungeons and Dragons, hello, like there are ways to go around that, and one of the the best ways to do that is definitely multi-classing. It's a thing
I'm just trying to think like what multi-classes would make sense for her character.
I mean, you don't know if Aktanis is going to be personality-wise the same character she is now, and in a year, for example, right?
Because you might come across something that maybe you witness. It could just be you witness. Maybe while fighting NPC, and enemy do like the most incredibly intense like spell ever, and you're like, that looks dope.
Or like for instance, like Tramarius, if he would not have seen Ash get brutally fucking murdered like that, he would have not been a warlock right now. He would still be. He would be a level 5 sorcerer.
Yeah.
But he's now a level 2 sorcerer and level 3 warlock. Or level 3 sorcerer, level 2 warlock, either or. He's
and it could even just be like, again, if we have a few more fights with like flying things, you and me both character-wise feeling the same thing. I just decided I'm gonna practice more with my bow and arrow, multi-class ranger, and you go to Narunk and be like, teach me how you
learn how to shoot guns, and you go guns.
I want to hit things from a distance. But I think that is very Aktanis. I like to make things go boom. Teach me how to use the boomstick.
And boom, true. You'll get one level into gunslinger.
I mean, she got super excited when Elevantia first appeared and had the gun, and she was like,
when is it that we do all the leveling up? The leveling method we use is milestone. So whenever something really like pivotal happens in the game, that's when I'm like, okay, they deserve to level up. It's not XP. I feel like XP kind of is the version, because you're like, oh, you killed 5 things that were challenge rating 3, that equals that XP. I gotta divide that over the 6 of you. Fuck that, bro.
Also, it just makes sense that like you just did a big thing. You're gonna be a little more.
So far, everyone has been leveling up at the same time, but at some point, when you guys get higher level, that's gonna stop. You guys are gonna like, if something really pivotal.
Get things that I don't.
If something really pivotal happens due to Kiseran, for example, she might level up while the rest is still not leveling up. But yeah, like it's definitely milestone based. So far, I've really just been leveling you guys up after like pretty significant boss fights. Leveled up after the Iron Deck fight. You leveled up. I think you leveled up when you guys broke out of jail.
I think we did. Maybe.
Yeah, I think we did.
You leveled up after fighting that Illithid. Like it's definitely been like, oh, boss fight equals level up, but at some point it's gonna stop. At some point,
the other thing with milestone leveling, like Dutch explained, because early on, like the Illithid, for example, those of us that like watch Critical Role Campaign 1 are very familiar with them. And Soko and I started like panicking. We're fighting fucking elephants at level 2. What the hell? And we're like, we're gonna die. And Dutch is like, don't think I'm that stupid. Don't worry. So because it's milestone leveling, he can just take those creatures and like weaken them relatively to our level. So they're still, you know, a threat, but we're not completely like impotent against them. And it makes it more fun because he was saying to imagine the repetitiveness.
Yeah, we're like, fighting bandits for the 47th time. Like,
yeah, like petty thieves.
You know,
just because that's what gives you the.
Gnolls are actually pretty high challenge rating, funnily enough.
Are they?
Yeah, they're pretty beefy. Or like you wouldn't fight gnolls as level 1s typically. They're secretly like pretty tough.
Secretly dicks.
That's not a secret. Yeah. So to any like homebrew DMs out there, don't put your party through the same fights every session. Switch it up. Have balls. Throw a fucking throw an illithid at them at level 2. You know.
And as to when we do like the physical like on our character sheets, just after the stream, you'll tell us if it's happened, and we do it off stream so we're ready for the next one. Like it would never happen mid-session, so that we'd have to all of a sudden pause and be like, wait, hold on, and go.
Yeah, exactly. It will never happen mid-session because that just breaks the pacing. Belle.
Yes.
You got new dice.
Yeah, I did.
You rolled pretty you rolled pretty bad for Belle standards last episode. You wanna maybe put your pre-existing dice through a little bit of a weight test?
I did. I already did.
Oh, really?
I did.
Were they weighted?
Yeah. No. I spent an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, like on Saturday when I got all my new dice, testing every single 25 sets of all my dice.
Jesus Christ.
God,
I have 25 sets. I tested them all. Yeah, it took me nearly 2 hours, like an hour and a half ish.
Jesus.
And I watched the latest episode of Critical Role while I did it. So
hey, fair.
No, I jest, but it was fun to see Aktanis, you know, struggle a little bit.
I was gonna say, welcome to our lives and see how it feels.
You felt like you're like the fucking your luck finally ran out a little bit, and that was fun to see because you've really been like fucking kicking ass roll wise, so it was fun to see you struggle a little bit and failing rolls.
Like I was so glad Nicole stopped her from throwing that brick back, because that was like the pause when I was like trying to decide what I would do was really just Aktanis versus Belle. Like, I want to throw the brick back, and the Belle's just like, that's fucking stupid, don't fucking do that.
But Aktanis would have done it, but and then Nicole.
But Aktanis would have done it, so I had to like try.
The thing is that if you would have thrown that brick,
been so
you would have very quickly been surrounded by 20 or more half-orcs that were very happy to rough you guys up before chucking you down some fucking cell that no one ever will.
Exactly.
So I'm very glad that didn't happen, because that would have derailed the fucking episode.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, the world's on fire. Oh, we gotta get Aktanis out of jail first.
Yay.
And given that you're not a half-orc, you would have not gotten fair trial.
No,
I can promise you that.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Because people in that town are hella racists. Hella fucking racists. So yeah, you would have had a really bad time.
Anything new to a tiefling?
You were a little useful, by the way, last episode. You got to read a sign that no one else was able to read because you're speaking for me.
Oh yeah.
Hey?
I was real useful with that sign. Everyone stopped to question me about.
I mean, I've had things written out for each tunnel that you guys could have chosen to go into. So if you would have not been able to read that, sure, I made it infernal, like maybe. If you guys would not have even seen that or checked it, there were definitely there's a lot of tunnels, yo. Those mines have been delved for a while. Like one of the signs would point towards copper vein number 45 or some shit. Where there's so many different paths to take. So I'm really glad that you guys looked around and saw the sign, because that. Boy, gosh golly! Let me tell you what.
Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys, what you kind of derailed, or not derailed, but you kind of took longer at the beginning, reconning, preparing, made up for while delving down the tunnels because you picked the right path pretty much from the get-go. Another thing, something that James actually DM'd me about because he was curious, was after the riddles, was what if they wouldn't have guessed all 10 riddles?
Yeah, fucking James.
What would have happened?
Spoiling riddles.
And I was like, well, after the whole debacle with the previous time I introduced the puzzle for you guys, in that cave back over, it's like episode 3 or something, I think?
3, I think, yeah.
When you guys had to find 4 pressure plates on the floor and push them all down so that something would come out of the ceiling. That. And you inspect every fucking inch of that cave besides, oh, let's check the floor. I did not have high expectations. And what I would do is that the more time
I'd say that's less of a puzzle though. That's like observation. That's a
I guess, yeah.
thing. And if we were there, maybe because like when you're still using theater of the mind, it's a bit harder. Whereas you're just giving us a riddle that's just pure, like
but yeah, regardless, I was like, okay, the way I'm gonna do this is they're gonna require all 10, but like I would probably lower the amount that you would have had to guess depending on the time you would have spent. And
how we were doing.
If you do really fucking terrible, I would have probably made it so that at some point a patrol of guards would just walk down the way you guys came from, and
we could hear them say
they
the
would
riddles
they would have like a note of all the answers just in case they would forget or some shit.
Did you Google like riddles, or did you come up with them yourself?
I Googled riddles. I was like, okay, this is riddles. Fucking scoured the internet for a
the one
good,
I was
hour.
most excited about was figuring out the hourglass.
Yeah, that was
clever.
really good.
That one, because I'd never heard like other ones. I'd heard very like the map one. I'd heard a bunch. Again, like someone just always riddles about time. There's an answer to one. And
there were also definitely some riddles were definitely harder than the others. Like
I'm so mad after James fucking spoiled it. And I realized I've heard the before. And the minute he said it, I was like, right, I fucking knew that. So I feel like if he hadn't have whispered it to me, I think we would have got there eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, but it would have.
If not, the patrol of guards would just come down, and I would have had to fight, and would have gotten the answer anyway. Yeah. But yeah, like I love puzzles, and so far we've not really fucked too much with puzzles, because puzzles require some time to like. Definitely, it's easier to fight your way through a fucking temple or cave than it is to puzzle your way through. But I definitely intend putting more puzzles in throughout the next few.
Well, it's like I still think one of the coolest episodes, like for example, of Critical Role I watched so far. I'm not caught up. I'm still in mid campaign 1. The one where they were getting one of the vestiges. I don't remember which one, and they were trying to go to this like Sphinx to get his knowledge, and it was a puzzle that involved like the 4 elements and 4 different parts of the room, and it was like. As well as while fighting.
While fighting the guy,
because the Sphinx then was like, "Hey, well, I'm gonna fuck with you until you figure it out." So I'm like,
great. It's a good episode. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good like the puzzling element, like not just for the combat reasons. Like the puzzle was super unique that Matt came up with, and a really interesting.
I'm 2 episodes away from the last episode like of campaign 1
or something.
I'm at 113 right now, dude, and I'm
I'm all caught up with campaign 2. I just need to. Keep going.
I would say if I had more free time, be like, wait, I'll binge and I'll catch up. We can watch it together, but there's no way in hell.
I'm gonna watch the final episode.
I will rewatch campaign 1 with you, like campaign 2 with you, because.
Oh, will you?
Yeah. Campaign 2.
I'm still waiting for. I feel like he has to have passed it by now. I'm waiting for a certain part of campaign 2 that was spoiled for me to happen. And for Gypsy to get there, because I think
he's already got there if you're talking about
what I mean. But you didn't say anything. I was like, I expected more of a reaction. Anyway, sorry, sidebar.
Excuse me.
This is about Dungeon Discourse.
He's still upset about it.
That's all good. Bought 2 sets of dice right now. Hell yeah, Hellscorn.
Yeah, you did.
Good job.
23 away.
Do you guys like speaking to Belle and Laura? Any questions? Anything like about last episode or the campaign so far, or anything that you're like, oh, wait, what was that? What was that? How did that go? What did
I had the same one as James. What if been stuck on the riddles?
Okay.
If we'd have fought the like zombie ogres that came out, rather than just being like, we're gonna use this distraction and just go in there. So part of me was like, felt a little bad. Like we should have helped, because then we would have dispatched that thing hella fast along with their support, but then we would have to stop and answer questions. So clearly it wasn't the smart idea. Like what kind of, if we'd done that, would have happened? Like
how
much grilling would we have had to get through?
You would have been grilled a lot, and especially because at that point it would have been exposed that some of you were not of half-orc descent. But yeah, you would have been able to like persuade your way through that because you proved you aided them in combat. But that would be a tough DC to be.
Yeah, it'd be.
Half-orcs are fucking beds.
If you had disintegrated Aktanis, how long would you have given me to grieve?
Oh my
God. I would have grieved.
Hey man, but you would not have been one shot disintegrate. First of all,
Okay, good.
The damage output on that disintegration ray was, what's your max HP?
Just lost an arm.
But you could have lost an arm and then have to learn to.
You only turn to ash if you hit 0 hit points. So before that, it's just laser beam. What is your max HP?
Is it
54? I think
it's more than that. I thought it was like. Hold on, I have the slideshow. I'll pull it up.
Let's see.
Dungeon select Aktanis. Yeah, 56 is your match.
Oh, 56.
Okay.
Apparently.
You could have died.
54,
You could have
56.
died. Never mind. The damage output was 8d8. But that would require me to roll extremely high for that to happen. So the chances of you dying were not likely. Plus, you had a dex save to make, and you passed it. So you know.
Yeah.
On the note of deaths, because like Ash died still relatively early on, and like I don't know, we'll never know really what Ash's backstory was, but like it hadn't come hugely into play. Like for example, imagine like Aktanis dying while we were dealing with Iron Death, her kind of story arc. So characters, is there any character in our party that if they die relatively soon, it like majorly fucks up any world building or like storytelling that you're working on right now? You don't have to say names or who, just say like, yeah, if so, it would be an issue.
No, don't tell him that. Say names.
You and Narank. Me and Soko are currently doing a lot of world building for his backstory.
I'm excited because I'm intrigued to know more about his.
Nicole as well, because me and Koiba finally have gotten a grasp of what I want to do with him. The only one that really has nothing in the works yet is Aberan.
Because he's the newest one, so.
Yeah, plus Gypsy hasn't really given me anything conclusive yet.
Yeah, he's still building it.
Yeah.
Because he spoke to me about it.
So yeah, like, if Aktanis would die, it's like, shame, there's a lot more to grasp from, but we did complete the one arc that I had worked on for her so far,
yeah.
So, you know, at least she would have died at a point where there was nothing in the works,
there was
per
some
se.
Closure. Yeah.
Some form of like, you know?
From my head, there are like 2 more arcs you can kind of take from my backstory.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, you could like fuck around with the circus all you wanted.
Kiseran, I have a lot in the works for at the moment. Like, your baby daddy is in the works, daughter is in the works, so those 2 are definitely like are in the process of being developed.
I'm very excited for those arcs.
Like Narank, his backstory, without spoiling too much, requires a lot of world building. So me and Soko are
I figure even more
best.
so because he's like a custom like class and everything too. So there's probably world building of just figuring out how they fit into the greater structure of society.
His story will also involve, you know, Order of the Obscure, because that's where he's from, or like the order he's a part of. He's real good buds with Elevantir, so like that requires a lot of setting up and world building and all that. Nicole, like I have ideas, but nothing is super in the works yet. It's all like very initial stage. Like, okay, I know what I can do now. Smile. So yeah, the 2 characters that would fuck with me the most, because I've already spent a lot of time preparing shit, would be Kiseran and Narank. So yeah, don't die, please.
Well then, roll badly.
Don't die, please, but you still could.
Nicole could have kept her little bag on his belt. Yeah, Kamikaze guy, but most, if not all, resurrection spells or rituals require a physical body or body part. Ash is not a body part. So, disintegration, there's pretty much no coming back from that. Unless you like, for instance, would have made a deal with the god or goddess of death right before it would have happened. Other than that, you're pretty fucked. Like,
yeah, because most things, any resurrection, you need, like, as someone said, you need a body.
You need a body, or at least a limb or something.
Fun fact: Aktanis totally would have made a deal with a god in order to stay alive.
That sounds like an Aktanis thing to do.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't put it past you.
Of death.
Let me just quickly, for the sake of trivia, check this. You have Revivify. Requires a body. And doesn't restore body parts. If you would have died with like a fucking shot off leg, you would have resurrected without a leg.
Yeah.
Raise Dead. You can have a corpse that is 10 days old and it would still work. The corpse can be dead for 10. But it requires.
Can they come back as a zombie though?
No.
Oh.
But it requires a body part or a body, and doesn't restore body parts. You have Reincarnate, which is also a 10-day like death time span. Requires only a small part of the body, and it gives you an entirely new body.
Yeah.
So that's one, but it still requires a small part of a body, and ash does not count as a body part.
Yep.
You have Resurrection. 100 years after death, this spell would still work.
Shit.
Only requires a very tiny body parts and also restores body parts. True Resurrection, maximum allowed time after death 200 years. Doesn't require a body and restores body parts. So True Resurrection, a 9th level cleric or druid spell, and a character level to be revived by the spell has to be at least 17. That's the only spell in existence besides.
See, there is a reason to get to these crazy levels.
Besides the wish spell as well. So even the wish spell was like you get a wish. So I wish Aktanis to be back alive, but the minimum character level is still 17.
Yeah.
So there would have been no fucking way of getting Aktanis back after this point.
Unless we just happen to magically run into a 17th level cleric who wants to help us out of the goodness of their heart.
I mean, at that point, that's just like.
Yeah.
But you didn't die, so hey.
Yeah. Thank you.
You dodged it. Good job. Proud of you.
You did good.
Oh.
Let's see. How long have you been going? Okay, we're doing all right. Wiki is still not up to date. I know. I'm working on it. Smile.
It's fine.
I have a week off next week, so
as you update it, 'cause you're adding all the new pages for like places, NPCs, and then like adding VODs as we get them stuff. I saw some of them because I think Soko was doing it, not you, like tracking our dice rolls.
I do that as well.
You do that as well? Alright, so that's still ongoing? I know that's a very slow
ongoing
process because you go episode by episode, write down every roll, and then redo the math of
Thank
like,
fuck for YouTube's watch videos at twice the speed option though, because that helps a lot.
Oh.
Cuts the time in half.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of watching a 4-hour session, I only have to watch a 2-hour session. But I do pause a lot when you guys roll to make sure that I write it down, so it compensates a little bit. Yeah, that is going to be a thing. I kind of stopped doing the episodes because they take so long, and I'm doing everything else first, so NPCs, places, and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then I have a note in my phone right now. That is, if I want the wiki to be up to date, at this point, we have like over 115 pages right now. At this point, if I want it to be up to date, I need to write 1, 2.
That's a lot. Oh boy.
35 pages. So like I'm definitely making that like catch up. But you know, next week I'll have a week. Next week I'll have a week off, so I'll have a lot more time.
And considering it's just like a for funsies project, it's not like it matters when it's done.
And that's also a helpful tool for me as a DM to be like, oh, what the fuck did I describe that dickhead as again? Especially with all the improv moments. It's like, oh, instead of having to scour through a 4-hour VOD, I can just look up his page on the week and be like, oh yeah, that's what he was.
Yeah.
So, and you know, for the players, like I know that some people definitely check the wiki stuff if it's good.
Oh yeah, for sure. I tried to put the shortest version possible, but there is still a pretty lengthy now version of the Kiseran backstory on her page that I put there. So if anyone wants to read it.
Yeah, I made mine
fucking,
as short
just-
as I could.
like just like
Very little
emmed
detail.
in the fucking Google Drive file, just put it in there.
That's basically what I did, and then I edited. I took out like sentences shorter. I took out any bits that were clearly like narrative exposition and like me having fun. And
yeah, the thing about the wiki is also definitely, it's for the players. It's also a spoiler-free zone. The only things I get up on the wiki are things that are verbally said out loud during one of the sessions. So if there's like something that is being whispered between me, the DM, and one of my players, what exactly got whispered will not be on the wiki until all my players know. That the players have like their environment that they can just feel free to browse and not be scared of like, oh wait, what if that thing that Soko and Dutch are discussing is on there too? Like that won't happen. So the wiki is up to date with the viewers. So things that the viewers don't know won't be on the wiki, and most things the viewers don't know is only because not all players know, so it won't be on the wiki. Which is a good way of doing it. It does require that I make sure that after every episode I'm like, okay, what got discussed again between I make sure that's on there as well. But my voice is starting to go. I'm still recovering from a throat infection, guys.
oh my gosh,
I can hear
did
myself.
Did you go to the doctor?
Yeah, I went to the doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, you're on the back half of a throat infection." I was like, "Oh, lit. I should."
Well, that makes sense.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of like antibiotics to like speed up the recovery, but if you would have come to me like before, that would have been."
Yeah.
I thought I just had a cold.
Hindsight 2020, man.
I mean, I was just like, I thought I just had a cold, but it turned out to be more. So yeah, like I'm on the back half now. Like I'm recovering. It's just, it's still there. And if I talk for a long amount of time, my voice starts to go. My throat starts to hurt. Which is why streaming is also a little bit of at the moment.
Yep.
I was streaming Far Cry yesterday. Like after like 2 hours, my voice just was like, ah. My throat started to hurt, and I got more and more quiet as I went on. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna end and just fucking chill out.
Okay, bye guys.
I mean, it's not that bad, but like I was at class Monday. It's Tuesday, so yeah, yesterday, and like I had to talk a lot, and at the end of the afternoon, I had to give like a little presentation about what our project group did, because we like rotate that out like a turn, but because I had like an entire morning of talking and preparing shit, by the time it was presentation time, I was like, listen, I can't fucking talk, dude.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was fun. I'm looking at my notes. Like unless Chad has questions or you guys have any more questions, I'm pretty much like through the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So if y'all have anything to say, or chat, or anyone wants to know anything about D&D, Dungeon Select, or just how our days have been going.
I think I had a point of clarification for one of the recent episodes. Yeah, there was a moment. I think it was whenever Kiseran and Nokul fought, whenever that was, about whether Kiseran had said about her daughter to the elders besides me, and I'd watched it back and she hadn't.
Oh,
so
interesting. Okay,
that was just
continuation error. Oh god, we're all gonna get swallowed whole.
Yeah, I went back and you didn't say about your daughter to the rest of the group. It was just to me.
Yeah, and we said,
Or
both you and
Aktanis.
me, Laura, said that you said that out loud to everyone, but apparently you didn't. Oopsie.
Didn't I? I don't think I would have. I didn't say.
I thought you did too, but apparently you didn't. Oh well, hey guys, it's out there now. Fuck it, dude.
I have the notes of basically everything.
I
you
know-
said, because I took extensive notes.
Okay.
But, I
Well,
mean,
like this point now, it's too late now to tell the rest of the.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Right,
at this
anyway.
point,
Yeah,
everyone knows. So
We're retconning it, and I did. I've told everyone.
yeah, exactly.
When I had my little tell-all, then in the like.
I think that was.
After we saved.
It was really confusing in hindsight because you had one with me,
Yeah.
like.
And I definitely told
20 minutes
Nakul in our specific little fight then. Maybe
Yeah,
not during
you
it.
did.
I then made an offhand comment, but it's definitely he would know now.
Yeah.
But
So
And so would
Bran?
no, not Bran. Tamaris, because he was in the room at the same time.
Yeah.
when you work with people, mistakes happen, chat.
Yeah.
That also goes for D&D. Like I had to retcon my first mistake last session. because I fucked up and I thought I had written down that map that y'all found with all the markings, and I thought I had written down everything, and I didn't. So instead of trying my ass off to make sure that it's correct, I was just like, hey, magic happened, map's not useless.
I thought that was a cool thing, so there we go. Yeah, would have known.
Just for my sake, I was like, I can do a lot of effort and try to make sure that this is like right, and now no one knows because it's destroyed. So there you go.
That's what I was like. I remember. I told everyone because after we saved the bird thing with the broken wing, rather than killing it, and then we stayed in that farmhouse for the night, and they were like, Kiseran, we need y'all to tell us something because now we've like. There's guards looking for you.
I think in hindsight you might have given your Tempest story, but not your kid's story.
Yeah, you gave the story behind the Tempest, and how you killed criminals and then you killed innocent people by accident, and then you talked about your father, because that was like the whole setup of that, and then you said.
What was my excuse for breaking out of prison then?
You said your exact words are you met someone who told me I still have something to offer to the world.
Oh.
You pretty much told them everything besides the fact you had a kid. Which is what confused me too. Oh well, dude.
Now.
Shit happens.
I fucked up.
That's whatever, dude. Shit happens, you know?
Oh.
Sorry, I had to just...
No, it's all good.
No,
like,
fair point.
Yeah.
I keep on top of my shit.
Now it's out there. Like, yeah, you know, I feel like that's like the first real player mistake we've had in the entire campaign, so I feel like we're doing pretty well.
It might be kind of also at this point, like, I feel like if anyone was really curious, you could put 2 and 2 together, because also, like, I've made no secret that I'm looking for this person.
Yeah.
I've mentioned she's a 16-year-old, so...
Yeah, you're like, what,
and
40?
you also mentioned
you're like 30-something?
I'm 38. I had her when I was 22, in the story.
How old would, asking for a friend, how old would baby daddy be?
I have not decided. I did not really get that far. I can tell you.
Then for you.
Well, yeah, you can tell. I can tell
He'll be of a similar age to Kiseran.
Well, yeah, I can tell you what his personality is like and what he looks like, but I didn't really pick an age.
Help personality-wise.
His personality. His name is Matrim for a reason. He is based off of the character Matrim Cawthon from The Wheel of Time, one of my favorite books.
No idea what that is.
I know. I'll send you a link to his like wiki page on the fan wiki for that. He is basically. He has phenomenal, like, the joke is he has the Dark One's own luck. He's the luckiest person ever, so he has a penchant for gambling and stuff because his luck is so good. He is the kind of, like, the like, roguish ruffian, like, says shit that no one else should get away with. Like, if anyone else said the shit he pulled, they get a slap upside the face, but because it's him, he just has this charm, this charisma that he can, like, get away with stuff a lot of us couldn't. And he has this very much, like, devil may care, I'm such a... like smooth criminal. I don't really care about anything facade, but on the inside, he's actually still really.
The fun thing is though, is that, or like the difference between, because when I did Aktanis her thing, and you know I had to introduce all those characters, I was really scared to like, oh, this is not my creation, this is someone else's creation, and I gotta make sure that translate that meets at least. The fact, you know, it's been 16 years since Kiseran has last seen, spoken, heard.
Yeah, so he could changed a lot. I don't know what he's been through.
Like, he has probably been through some shit, and he's probably not the same person he was 16 years ago. So that gives me a little bit more of like a buffer. It's like, okay, I can play around with him.
Oh yeah, and like the reason they bonded, other than, well, they were cellmates for however many years, and you have no one else to talk to. Because like Kiseran got to learn all about Genasi as a race of people because of her dad. Her dad was a Genasi, and the thing that I thought was really interesting, another backstory tidbit from her lore, her dad was born a human. Because Genasi are half like genie, half like Jinn, half human, but they can either be born that way, like a Jinn comes down and like has a fun time with a human. I'm blue.
Your dad can be Will Smith's genie!
Oh god, no! Get that out of here.
Do you know, I recently had a thought, like, about Kiseran, because I was rewatching his thing from Critical Role 2, Campaign 2, Critical Role 2, and they have a Water Genasi in there, and he's always... Yeah, they have a Water Genasi in Campaign 2, and he's always, like, wet.
Well, yeah, no, she is too. Well, because they say that they literally, like, moisture comes out of the air and beads on their skin. Water Genasi look like they've always stepped out of water. Like, I always have a bit of a sheen to me.
So there's always a joke that he just sweats profusely, so he's always sopping wet.
I mean, that would make sense. You're in a desert, so that would make sense.
I hadn't
Yeah, I figured with Kiseran, it's downplayed a little because we're in a desert, so less moisture in the air. But it's also why she gets so uncomfortable for so long. When she sees water, she gets excited again, and she always like puts some on herself because she basically feels really parched all the time. It's a really terrible place to live. But like the reason why I live there, because you're like, why the fuck is there a water ganassi in the desert? My dad was born a human, but there's a place, Dutch made a place on the map called the Cataclysm. And I asked him about, because it just looks like this ruiny, very magic-y, almost like Stonehenge, but something really bad happened there on his map, like this barren Stonehenge.
No, it's like a hole in the ground, like with fishes around it, and it's surrounded by some fucking shit.
And so I asked him if I could use that. And so basically, if I'm Dutch, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I wrote it. It's a place where like the barrier between the dimensions or planes, I guess, like between worlds is really thin.
Yeah, like the barrier between realms is very thin there, and magic is very unstable and volatile.
Yeah. And so he grew up in a village near there, and as his friends, they're all like, "Oh, I dare you, playing truth, dare Cataclysm and bring back a stone from the Cataclysm," because they were told you're never supposed to go there. Dangerous place. He went there.
Don't take anything.
And there happened to be like an outpour, just at that time, a surge of energy from the plane that Jinn are from, and he was literally forcibly mutated and changed.
He basically
and then
got
he was abandoned by his family
Jinn.
because of it. His whole town was very like, because it was a very small, only human. They'd never seen another creature that wasn't human.
Essentially,
so he became ostracized and shunned.
Essentially, the thing, because Ganassi are the offspring of human and Jinn, right? So the fact that he was human and turned Jinn, he was never like a full blood Jinn.
Yeah.
But he was definitely not a Ganassi. He was definitely like stuck in that weird place between Ganassi and Jinn at that point.
Yeah.
Where he's
so
like,
he's
left almost a full blown Jinn because of the magical shit that happened.
The sheer magical power. Yeah.
There's definitely a more
Kiseran
human side to him than to most Jinns.
Yeah, and that's why Kiseran was born with the strength of magic that she does, because he has all this latent, still raw energy in him that he passed on to her. But he then learned all about Ganassi. He spent years trying to learn everything he could about what he had become. And then she grew up in a very rich house. Like, her family were servants. He was the bodyguard to the rich merchant, and her mom was just the head of house, like his cook, his like maid, But they still got to live in this beautiful, opulent house, and the guy was really nice to them. So he let them also use his library at free will and stuff. So she got to grow up and learned everything about Ganassi. Whereas Matrim knew nothing. He was the more typical, a Jinn came and raped a chick and left. Like, and then she had him. She didn't want him. He was abandoned. So he grew up, he was very much like an Aladdin kind of character in my head. He grew up on the streets, and he was in jail for stealing, because he had to steal to survive. That's why
he's definitely like, if I were to actually make him like a character, like whether that's a playable character or an NPC, he's definitely going to be a rogue. That's homie.
Yeah, so he was drawn to Kiseran because he'd never seen another creature like him. He knew of Ganassi, but he didn't know anything about him. So the years he spent in prison, he was kind of helping her out of her PTSD, because she didn't speak for a year after the prison. She had she basically had a psychotic break after the weight of her guilt hit her, and she realized what she had done and how disappointed her father would be in what she'd used his sword for and what his legacy had become. So he spent a year just trying to draw her out to get her to talk to him, and to basically, again, that whole someone who convinced her that she has merit still, she's not just a cold-blooded killer. And as they got closer, she then taught him the language of Primordial. She taught him the history of Ganassi and what they were, because she knew. So that was part of also their connection, because she was a educational figure to him as well. And then naturally they were a male and a female who are hetero, and you're alone for a long time and you have no one to talk to but each other, so you fall in love and it happens.
They smash once and immediately have a kid.
Well, yeah, because they literally didn't have sex the whole year, because she was like, I don't want to get pregnant in prison. But then he was going to be moved to another cell, because the guards are like, we can tell that you guys are far too close. We did really bad at hiding it at the end, their affection. And they're like, it's far too cushy, your little prison life in here. So he was going to be moved. So the night before, they were going to take him away, and they might never see each other again. They had sex, and she got pregnant the one time.
One time.
She's had sex once in her whole life and has had a kid. She is Lane from Gilmore Girls.
she's one for one. One for one.
Yep.
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do at the end of these Dungeon Discourses is give a little bit of a tease. What's to come next episode.
My birthday.
Besides Belle's birthday.
Besides IRL Belle's birthday.
Is you can definitely expect more puzzles.
Yay!
Throughout the films. And depending on how long you take, find your next councilman might not. How long you take. Typically between 4 and 5 hours a session, and if you guys fuck up on the puzzles, well, we'll just have to wait another week.
Yeah. For sure. Can
Yikes.
Belle and I also be cheeky and throw out
Hell no, absolutely no promotion on my channel. No, of course, go ahead.
Just because, as long as the both of us are in it, and it might help out Ice Cream Dice.
Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, Belle and I are doing a one-shot on Friday on my channel, and it's a special one-shot. You can buy the PDF, like the guide to this, as an additional like add-on to the Ice Cream Dice Kickstarter, which of course I'm sure y'all have heard us talk about enough. And so we are play testing it for them because it has never been played before.
Pog.
So we will be the first people to try it out. We are a bunch of like child.
Really got fucking cucked by the bot, huh?
Yep. We are a bunch of child D&D characters fighting
be,
to save the world's ice cream. I don't know more than that.
That's
but
weird though. Typically Twitch links don't get purged.
I know, right?
Interesting.
Anyways. But yeah, so if you want to come out on Friday and watch us play test this thing, and then if you really like it, I did it again. You might want to buy it yourself on the Kickstarter, and it should be fun. And Gypsy, who is also part of Dungeon Select, is playing as well.
Gypsy! Fucking hate that guy, dude. Fuck.
He's awful. Why do we play with him?
And with
Why
that
did you let
all
us, let
said,
him join our game?
thank you guys for watching Dungeon Discourse. If you watch this on YouTube, leave a comment. What do you guys want to know about Dungeon Select?
Questions for next time.
Questions for next time. I mean, yeah, might as well. Who knows? Yeah, and we'll see you Sunday for Dungeon Select. Thanks for being here, Laura. Finally got Laura on the fucking show after
I wanted
so
to be
hard
on
to...
for ages. It just never worked out.
Yeah, now that we've had everyone on the show, it's probably going to be a little bit of a mixing bag of who we have on next, because it will be based on who was very like prominent in episode that this is about.
Me.
And you know, like if someone hasn't been on in a while, we'll be like, hey, because right now I'm trying to keep it equal. So right now we've had Belle twice, we've had Gypsy twice, and we've had Koiba twice, I think.
I don't know.
I think so. Koiba's been twice, yeah.
Yeah, so next week is probably gonna, if there's nothing like super major happens, probably gonna be Hanzo and Soko each.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for Dungeon Discourse. I'll be streaming a lot of Far Cry this week to finish up Far Cry New Dawn. If that's something you like, consider slapping the follow button while you're still here. Smile. I'll also be playing Anthem with Duke, but I'm also kind of playing that off stream. Anthem is great. A lot of fun. What do you guys? Any streams planned for? I know Laura has streams planned because guys. But
other than the ice cream one shot on Friday, and then we have Dungeon Select on Sunday, and then the following week I have my birthday stream because Belle and I are almost birthday buddies.
Nice.
Almost. Very
Nice.
close.
Yeah, I'll also be doing a proper 1K celebration stream next week because I have a week off and I can actually do like a 12-hour thing without feeling shit.
I will probably do a birthday stream of my own, but I have no idea when.
Shit. So yeah, guys, go follow Belle, go follow Laura, because they're great.
Yeah, we are.
There you go. Go check him out.